stand. Manchester United 3, Bournemouth 0. Pretty good result, and obviously Arsenal and Newcastle dropping out on some points. So we're slowly climbing up, and I'm going to look at some positives, some possible negatives to take away from this game with the beautiful panellists we have today. We have Beth. Kev, I've stunned myself there. Kev and Ricky. Yeah, starting off well. But yeah, just off the bat, just quickly, I'll go to Beth first. The rotated side, I mean, it's not fully rotated, right? But what did you think first, kind of off the bat? You know, you're looking at Maguire and Lindelof. So it's an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer back four, isn't it? The Shaw, Lindelof, Maguire and Wan-Bissaka. What did you think? What did you make of them two centre-backs coming in? Well,
to be honest with you, at first I was a little bit worried, as you would be. The only thing I would say is, of course we need to rotate. There's a lot of games coming up, but you just don't want to underestimate any team. And Bournemouth at home, you would think you'd get the 3 points, but still, you still want to play your strongest team to ensure that you're not going to drop any unnecessary points. But do you know what? Eric Ten Hag proved his judgment was right. Today, do I think Varane and Martinez would have been better? Yes. Do I think Maguire and Lindelof did a job? Absolutely. And it turns out it was very good rotation. I was actually having a discussion in the week and I was saying, because of how well we're doing in the league at the moment and how many points are out for grabs to displace certain teams at the top, I mean, Manchester City being one of them, you've got to look 4 points behind them. The derby is so important, and I think to have any chance whatsoever, you need Raphael Varane in that defence, so rest him today. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see him play until the derby is that important. So, you know what, I thought Eric Ten Hag judged it well and job done. 3 points, 3-0 over the line.
Do you think, obviously, hindsight now that we've won, it's pretty positive that Varane and Martinez have had a rest. Martinez obviously came on for like 3 minutes towards the end. But you were saying before the show that you were a little bit nervous, a bit shaky with Maguire and Lindelof coming in. What were your thoughts when you saw that, you know, these were the guys that were going to...
I don't think I was the only person that maybe looked at that starting 11 and thought, like you've just said, a drop back to the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer days where I look and I think, oh no, Maguire and Lindelof at centre-back. I think, as you said, Beth, Eric Ten Hag's played an absolute blinder this evening. It's not getting away with it. It's getting players into that team that need game time, and we've won 3-0. I think it's a fantastic result. So many positives again. Luke Shaw, fantastic. It's a great result, and as you rightly say, we've got games coming up now, thick and fast.
Yeah.
Everton, the FA Cup, that's a huge game. We spoke about in the last show. We want to win a trophy. The FA Cup is a great trophy to win.
Yeah.
A springboard for this team to succeed and kick on.
It is definitely important that obviously the side does get rotated. It's a big thing that everyone talks about. But welcoming everybody, everyone just spamming Ricky in the chat as well.
Can I just say one thing as well, just before Ricky comes in? It's the fact as well, I'm not saying Varane and Martinez are better than Maguire and Lindelof, and you can see that like, Maguire and Varane are completely different players, but these players now, you can call it Ole Gunnar Solskjaer back four, which it was, you can tell we weren't amazing by any stretch, but they're coached a lot better, and that makes you a bit less nervous.
It's big decisions that Eric Ten Hag's made. We watched the Wolves game together, the fact that he disciplined Rashford. Some people might say, oh, it's only a little thing, you know, he's overslept or whatever. He's punished him in that way. He's managed to bring him off the bench. They hug it out at the end. That's great man management. He's done the exact same today by managing to, we've always said it with Varane, wrap him up in cotton wool.
Yeah, it's what you got to do.
What you have to do, man.
Super chat from Tashi. I like Arsenal fans' silence today. GGMU. Let's not get too carried away with ourselves just yet. We do play them in a couple of weeks. But Ricky, obviously we touched on Maguire and Lindelof. I thought personally it was a pretty slow start from not only them but just building up from the back, especially in the first half. Are you similar in that sense that you thought it was quite slow?
It was definitely a slow start, but I think that's pretty commonplace in the Premier League when you're playing against a team who are sitting back and hoping to be able to spring out against you, and they've got everybody behind the ball and there's no space for you. Like Van der Beek was at number 10, it was hard for him to find pockets of space. But as the game wears on, and this happens week in, week out in probably half the Premier League games, teams are hanging on, or not so much hanging on, that's not right, but they sat back and they make it difficult for the better side to find space, to find little pockets of space. In the first half, Van der Beek couldn't get in the game too much. I felt really sorry for him, by the way. I thought he was playing okay when he did get the ball. Gutted he's got injured. I don't know how serious it is. And Martial as well, he likes finding them little pockets of space, and he had a little bit of difficulty. There was one brilliant turn that he did in the first half, right in the middle of the field, where where it came to him and he beat a man, he turned to his left and he fed Shaw in, I think, down the left. But you need that sort of thing to happen more often, and it tends to happen more often when the opposition are tiring and when the game gets stretched a little bit.
Yeah. We'll touch on that, because there was, in the second half, huge gaps, wasn't there, between midfield and defence. Midfield and attack. But TJ, member for 7 months, same old defence, but wasn't the old Ole Gunnar Solskjaer set up, not even close. Casemiro was in front of the defence. That is something that's, I know, pretty. I mean, Casemiro, we can touch on him as well. He's absolutely top drawer. Everything he touches is 10 out of 10, pretty much. He's I was sat next to Adam watching the game, and he was saying that, I mean, obviously it's a little bit different when this game wasn't televised, but when you watch it at home on TV in comparison to in the stadium, you obviously notice a lot more, and you notice how vital Casemiro actually is to kind of everything. I think if you put, and I guess there's no real disrespect to McTominay and Fred, because I thought Fred, when he came on, played pretty well, but they don't have anything on Casemiro in the sense of dropping in and picking up the ball in different areas, and
he's such a leader as well. Like, I've noticed on Luke Shaw's goal, which I'm sure we'll get onto, the first thing Casemiro did is turn back and clap De Gea for making the pass out originally, and he's just such a leader in there. He's so important. Yeah,
that is what I've got written down here is Casemiro's instrumental. I think it's I don't
be in the top 5.
I'll tell you what I want to know. I want to know what Graham Souness was drinking that day when he said them comments about Casemiro when he joined Manchester United, because I wouldn't mind a pint of it.
Do you know what it was, Kev? He hadn't watched him that much. I think a lot of people like to comment on a signing that United's made for 70 million just because he's 30 years old without actually watching games in other leagues. That's the only reason I can think of.
I don't know why you'd say something like that without watching, because like Casemiro obviously isn't just an all right player, is it? Like, it's pretty obvious.
Or Classimiro, as we now call him.
Unbelievable.
One thing I noticed from the game as well, especially in the first half, was that Aaron Wan-Bissaka was Bournemouth's kind of trigger press, similar to what actually I think it was Troy Deeney said about Trent when he was at Watford. Trent was Watford's trigger press. When the ball went to him, they knew that he was the one more likely at the back four to kind of make a mistake.
Do you mean to Fred?
No, Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Right.
So basically what I noticed, when the ball went over to him, the left winger, whoever it was at the time for Bournemouth, he'd be the one to very quickly shut him down, whether when it went over to anyone else, it was very much, okay, we can just let these guys have the ball because they probably can pass it around us. So I think, Aaron Wan-Bissaka's probably got to take credit from that, because I don't think he played bad, really. There's only one thing I can take is he just likes slide tackling so much. Every opportunity he gets to slide tackle, not even if it's a tackle, it's just a block or something. Beth, what did you make of Aaron Wan-Bissaka's performance? Because that's 4 starts in a row, I think. Obviously, Dalot coming on towards the end as well.
Solid. I don't think there's too much you can say about him. The only negatives I have is he doesn't give enough, I think, personally. Like, I think he's a solid defender, and like we were saying on the show last week, if he's happy to stay around and be that rotational right back, he can definitely do a job for us. I think he's got attributes that you need in certain games. I think, like you said, like, no one really beats him in a one-on-one. Positionally, gets lost sometimes, but in a one-on-one, he's great. The only thing I would say is when Dalot came on, instantly you can see the difference when the ball's at his feet. He just gives you more on the ball, which I think in a top side is what you need. And Dalot's been doing well defensively as well this season. So if you're looking at what player gives you more, Dalot does, but Aaron Wan-Bissaka can hold his head high in the games he's come in. Do you think Dalot will come back in for him? But as a rotational right back, he's got a spot.
Kev, is there any... I'm not sure what your thoughts are in terms of whether Aaron Wan-Bissaka should go in January or should stay, but do you think there's any chance of him kind of revitalising his career at Manchester United, or do you see him departing, whether it's this January or summer?
If you'd have asked me this a couple of months ago, and I think we probably did discuss it, I think I just said, get rid. I think we were kind of going down the route of if Crystal Palace want him back on loan, if we can sort something out like that, he needs to go. And we were saying Diego Dalot has stepped up, and basically Wan-Bissaka is in his shadow. He's a £50 million player. I know that's not his fault, that's what Manchester United spent on him. But recently, I take my hat off to him. I love it. You can't beat competition for places at Manchester United. And right back is the area we've all been saying. If Dalot gets an injury, we've got nobody to come in. it makes it so much stronger now.
Yeah.
And it's testament to both Erik ten Hag, the coaching, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka himself, because he must have stepped up. He must have had this conversation with Ten Hag where he said, do you want this at Manchester United? Or do you want to go back to the likes of Crystal Palace? No disrespect, but is that your level? Or do you want to fight for your place at Manchester United? And you can see the fire in his belly at the minute. I think Wan-Bissaka is rising to that and thinking, right, I want to be at Manchester United.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about it on Beth, when you hosted the last fan forum. I said, didn't I, that you can tell that he is trying to take on Ten Hag's instructions, which is only a positive. And I mean, even if we are to kind of sell him on, we're probably looking at getting more value the better he plays, right? So there's positives kind of no matter how you look at it. But Ricky, a little bit on Donny van der Beek. Obviously, you mentioned he was playing, you thought he was playing pretty good before the unfortunate injury. But do you think that he's worth, or should I say, we're worth sacrificing his best position to then bring in Donny van der Beek? Is that something that's we should be doing, or if Donny is going to play, should that mean that Bruno should sit on the bench and then we utilise, whether it's Elanga, Garnacho, whoever out on that wide position? Because personally, I don't think Bruno played very well at all the whole game. I thought he played a little bit better when he came into that number 10. But do you think, I mean, it's just getting to that time now with Donny van der Beek, isn't it?
I'm absolutely. Well, the thing is now, I don't know how serious his injury is. I'm gutted for him getting that injury. It looks pretty serious. So it might be irrelevant, now. But I don't know how long he might be injured.
Yeah.
But the way he plays and the way he's played in his last two little cameos that he's had, they've been 20 or 30 minute cameos, and I thought he was doing all right today. I like the way he looks after the ball.
Yeah.
I like the way he keeps it simple. And I've just said in the first 30 minutes or even the first half of games, you regularly get it that the opposition are so set in their ways and so determined to keep their shape, and it's difficult for a number 10, it's difficult for any forward or any number 10 to actually take control of the game. Often it's like that, but then obviously he got injured and he wasn't there when they started to get more tired. You'd probably see better football from him if he's still on the park after 60, 70, 80 minutes, or if he come on as a sub, which he has done in the last couple of games. He's now I think it looks to me like he's going to be out for some time. I'm afraid I'm wrong for the lad. But to answer your question, if he was fully fit, I'd be more than happy to give him a run at number 10.
I actually, sorry Beth, I do actually agree with you that the later on into that game it got, he would have shone a little bit more, I think, because there was so much space that obviously he could have utilised to then kind of break the lines. Beth, go on.
Sorry, can I just come in there?
Yeah.
Donny van der Beek, I'm gutted he's got an injury. I feel sorry for him because I thought he was doing okay, better than usual. But he's nowhere near good enough to be Manchester United's number 10. He's just not. And I don't want to be harsh on him because it's really sad he's got that injury. I would have liked to see him play deeper. I think he was doing all right. He's good to come on as a cameo. He's good to play in games like this. But he's just not got the presence, I think, to play in number 10. You could see at the start, Bournemouth started to glide through the midfield a little bit. I thought... His presence isn't big enough. You look at Bruno, and Bruno had a shocking game today. He did. He didn't play well. Part of that, I have to say, is every time Bruno has a really awful game, it's when he's been shoved out onto that right-hand side. It doesn't suit him whatsoever. And when he came back in, he still didn't play well. I have to admit, he didn't have a good game. But Bruno, when he's on top form, is what you need to be Man United's number 10. I've just not seen anything from Donny to think he can be that consistently. Do I think he could be a squad player? Absolutely. Do I think he has good attributes to his game? Yes. I'm gutted that he's got that injury, but all in all, he's not going to be displacing Bruno.
I think we've always said, haven't we, if Erik ten Hag can't get the best out of this player, then nobody's going to be able to do it. We've certainly not seen the best of Van der Beek. Every Man United fan has wanted this player to do well. And the injury today,
isn't he?
It's an absolute sticker because he's tried staying on the field to play, and you could tell
so sorry for him.
You don't run something like that off.
No.
And he's waited for his opportunity. It's come today. He started a game, few early challenges he's flown in, maybe just a bit giddy. He's trying to make his mark on this team, show what he's about, and for it to end like that, it's a shocker for him, an absolute shocker.
Yeah,
hopefully he's all right.
It's definitely a shame. We saw a picture there, and it doesn't look
great.
No, it doesn't look very good. They're the ones that I think that's the more difficult thing is that you could see he didn't want to go off at all. So, he got a big standing ovation from the fans when he came off. But, we'll move on to Bruno Fernandes. I thought, we touched on first half, I thought he was 4 out of 10, and then you're probably looking at 5 out of 10 second half. There's so many times where he tries these little flicks when, it could be just touch and pass off. There's so many times, Beth, I know you're a big fan of Bruno Fernandes, and he is and can be very instrumental for us. But look, I think if Bruno Fernandes is on form in that game, we're scoring 6-7 goals because he is literally pulling strings. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he was a really. It's kind of good that he's a really bad game in the game that I thought we could win comfortably in the end. I mean, was it an absolutely easy game? No, but I did think 20 minutes in, this is going to be a comfortable win. Once we got that Casemiro goal, I thought just one more goal here, it's a comfortable win. So it's good that he kind of had an off day on that. He's going to be really instrumental when it comes up against the hard teams where we're not going to get as many chances against them. But what I do think is, even if he's having a really poor game, he still manages to give you something. For example, I know it didn't really mean anything, but that to make it 3-0, most players there just take it on the volley and shoot. The fact he passed it into Rashford, I thought it was a brilliant pass and it seals the game off. He's always instrumental in something, even when he's having a bad game. And when he's having a good game, he's can be unstoppable at times. So today, a really poor game from him, but I do think it's one of them games where you have to think, Bruno had a bad game today. He didn't have a great game against Wolves, but he was decent. Hopefully, he can play himself into form, because, I mean, if you have Bruno on form, with Casemiro on form, and then you get a few other players on form as well, it's going to be very good. I mean, you look at it today, I think Eriksen didn't have the greatest of games, Bruno didn't have a good one. I mean, once these players really are kind of kicking on, it should get a lot better as well, and we're already managing to win games while carrying a few players that aren't in the greatest of forms. If
Bruno Fernandes is going to play rubbish today to play well against City and Arsenal, then I take it.
The one thing I would say is I really rate Ten Hag. I really like him. I can't say enough good words about him, but the one thing I would say to him is please stop putting Bruno on the right. It really does kill his game off. I know he didn't really have a choice. Well, he did have a choice. I would have started Garnacho from the start, if I'm being honest with you.
Well, that was what I was saying, right? If Donny's going to start, should Bruno then move to the bench to then put whoever it is out on that right-hand side? But Kurt Taylor, member for 9 months, thank you, mate. Happy New Year to all you guys on United Stand. Awesome work that you guys put in. We need a striker to help squad injuries. Need to act now. Yeah, we desperately do need a striker. We can talk a little bit about Anthony Martial a little bit later. But I want to move on to David De Gea. And first, before I give my thoughts, Ricky, what did you think of his performance today? Well,
this can lead into that. I mean, I heard Beth just say there that she thought the game, once we'd scored, it was done and dusted. And at 2-0, they had a 20-minute spell where De Gea made 2 or 3 fantastic saves. He made a couple of saves that were easy saves as well, that were good chances. A header was straight at him.
Still got to make them, though, haven't you?
But it was a header. I'm talking about their chances. I think they had more good chances than we did. I really do think they had more good chances than we did.
He certainly did in the second half.
He made 2 or 3 really good saves. There was another one, a header straight at him, where the player should have done better. There was the lad cut in through the inside left channel, and twice he skewed it wide of our left-hand post. I think they had more good chances than we did, and I think we weren't hanging on, but I was dreading them getting a goal. With 20-25 minutes to go at 2-0, rather than sitting back, enjoying the game and watching our football flow and hoping for us to score, they were getting behind us so often. I was sitting there with 20-25 minutes to go. Well, I don't wear a watch, I was looking at my phone. With 20-25 minutes to go, I was looking at the time and I was willing the minutes away. Do you understand what I mean? We're 2-0 up and I'm thinking, I don't want them to get a goal in the next 3 or 4 minutes. I could see us dropping points here. That was how it was. I was willing the minutes away.
It was weird. It was one of them, though. They did have a good spell, like you said. They absolutely did. And David De Gea made some class saves, you have to say. But I still, even then, was confident. It was weird. It was like we weren't getting clear-cut chances like you said they were getting, but we did waste the ball so many times when we had some. You could see what was going to happen. I do think Bournemouth were there for the taking in some parts of the game. And as I said before, I think if Martinez and Varane played, it could have been a 5-0, genuinely. But you don't take away from the fact they did have a few good chances. But David De Gea is just world class.
Everywhere you go,
Take
Four
De
clean
Gea with you.
Yeah.
clean sheets in a row since the World Cup.
That's
by the
it.
way,
I
isn't
think,
Brilliant.
I think that's 8 clean sheets for us in the league, isn't it? I think only Nick.
Not conceded a
Nick
goal at
Pope.
Old Trafford since September.
Yes, that's pretty good going. I think it's only Nick Pope who's got more clean sheets than David De Gea so far this season.
And we talk about, you say, Ricky, like we weren't hanging on at the end. In past seasons, these are the games that we would have dropped points. We'd be massively disappointed now.
Yeah.
This is a new era. This is a complete different team. And the connection you have with these players now, you know, even the bit bringing Martinez out at the start with his World Cup medal, you know, even bringing him on for a cameo, it's great connection, that bond between player and club. And we've got it with a good few of these players, whereas down the years, it's been a bit toxic, hasn't it, really?
I thought, to be fair, as much as De Gea, he obviously makes incredible saves. There was a couple of times, especially that Adam was proper shouting at him, to be fair, where he just almost gets caught sometimes in old habits where he doesn't know still whether to come and collect the ball, not from a cross or anything, but I think, to be fair, I think the pass back that Luke Shaw did, he actually fluffed it a little bit. I think it was in the first half, and he kind of half passed it back to De Gea, and De Gea just didn't fancy it and kind of ran back. But I just think it's more. There's definitely more positives with De Gea in terms of what Ten Hag has worked with him in terms of distribution and improvements, but he does sometimes go back to old habits, I think. But yeah, Christian Eriksen. I thought the past 2 games he hasn't been the Christian Eriksen which we have seen, especially, I mean, me and you, Kev, we love him, right? He's, again, instrumental, brilliant player, but I don't know, is he just out of form? Is he... What are we experiencing a little bit with?
I'm surprised he's not had a rest. I think he's played quite a bit of football.
Yeah.
Again, for me personally, I think, I was saying it in the game, we need a clinical striker, absolutely. We need a box-to-box midfielder. Eriksen is a class player, like genuinely, and he can be a very important player for United, but I just don't know if he's physical enough to be that box-to-box player. Sometimes he gets, well, recently he's got a bit lost in games because I think he just lacks that little bit of physicality. I would like to see him and Bruno rotate and have a box-to-box player in there. I think at home in these sort of games he can play, absolutely, as the box-to-box. I think he can afford to do that. I've noticed it particularly away from home. I think you just need someone with a little bit more presence in there, but you can see how classy he was with that free kick. I mean, it was unbelievable, but I do think another box-to-box midfielder to rotate with Bruno and Eriksen would work well for Erik ten Hag. I think we need someone with just a little bit of a different dynamic.
Yeah. Frank, thank you for the super chat, my friend. But just, I think with Eriksen, I don't know if he's, you could go as far as saying he's a luxury player in the sense of, he just kind of does what he wants. But sometimes, people do ghost away from him. And I think if you didn't have a player like Casemiro alongside him, he would get found out a lot more. I do think Casemiro makes up for not only his mistakes, but a lot of other people's mistakes. Casemiro is honestly...
Casemiro isn't mistake-free.
No, of course not. Of course not.
2 silly free kicks away on the edge of our box today.
Yeah, no. But I think, I mean...
I don't think one of them was.
They complement each other well.
I think
you do get pairings like that, don't you? In the centre of the park.
I mean, and we might find out, further down the line. But if you had McTominay or Fred next to Eriksen for a longer period of time, longer running games, obviously, then you know there's a difference.
I've seen Casemiro clean up for one of Wan-Bissaka's mistakes today. He did it again against Wolves. He cleans up all the time. But do you know what you could afford to do? I think, as I said, I think Bruno is so important. If we got another box-to-box midfielder, you could actually afford to give Bruno a rest and play Eriksen there, because I think Eriksen's good enough to play as a number 10. But it's just interesting to see what we do coming into the summer. Yeah.
Ricky, Anthony Elanga had a little cameo again towards the end of the match. I think he got, 15, 20 odd minutes. What did you make of it? In my personal opinion, I don't think he had much influence on the game. But yeah, did you think... Do you think there's because there's obviously links to Everton, isn't there? There's a loan move possibly there. Would you want him to stay at United?
I like him, but he did struggle today without a doubt. But he also played at number 9 when he came on. I prefer him on the wing. Yeah,
but no, I'm the same because when I was sat next to Adam,
like we've just said, we haven't got another striker, have we? When Martial goes off, we haven't got a striker.
He should have moved Rashford. I
think. That's what I thought. I thought that you could see the conversation where Rashford actually moved to the middle, didn't he? And Elanga was like, "No, I'm playing here. You go over there." So, I mean, I don't know. it's all hindsight, isn't it? I don't know if Martial stayed on, he would have had again more impact, or if Rashford was there. You don't quite know, but I think Elanga would have played better if he did go out on one of those wide positions. But it is what it is. What do you make of Elanga, Beth?
I think he's out of his depth, and I like his attitude and everything like that, and he's got good energy. I think that the only reason I think Erik ten Hag actually does bring him on to play that number 9 is because he'll run about and press. He gives you that energy. Hit the number 9 to press, but he's no number 9, absolutely not. He should be playing on the wing. He plays his best football on the wing. Personally, I would have preferred to see Rashford go to 9 and Elanga come on at the wing, but at the same time, recently when I've seen him come on, you know when you just know a player's not going to do anything? Like, I wanted him to get a few more chances, maybe a goal would make him feel a bit more confident, but I think there's talent there. I think he needs a loan. I don't think coming on 10 minutes at the end of the game at number 9, where he's basically getting nothing, he's going to do him any good, if I'm being honest.
Do you think, obviously he played a hell of a lot of football under Ranić, didn't he? Do you think that him being kind of forced into the first team so suddenly and having to play, it's not any fault of his own, right? Look, we were going for a torrid time, with or without him. It was kind of irrelevant of whether he was playing or not, but do you think that it has stunted some growth in terms of his...
I think that there is such a thing as getting too much game time, especially at that age, because I don't think Elanga was setting the world on fire. You know, he was good, and then the song come along, obviously the fans are behind him. Yes, that breeds confidence in a player, but yeah, he was a favourite under Rangnick, but at the moment, I just do not see a place for him, and it sounds harsh, but listen, what a loan move could do great things for him. Yeah. You need to rediscover his kind of footballing ability, but at the same time, you're not throwing him under the bus, but by bringing him on as number 9 when he's not had much football recently, you know, what's that kind of saying to him? Yeah. I think we know his best position, isn't it? It's out on the wing and using that explosive pace, but maybe Ten Hag's at the point where he's looking and he's thinking, I am down to the bare bones here at the top and I need to give somebody a try, you know, could he be the answer? I think we know he's not, but is it just another option for him to play him there?
That's it. I mean, personally, I don't think so. But Ricky, you'll be glad to hear PJ has said, Ricky, the only man who knows what he's talking about.
Thank you, PJ.
We'll move on to Anthony Martial. What did you think, Beth, of his performance today?
I like Martial a lot. He did a few good things. Absolutely, like Ricky said, when he got the ball on the half turn, he moved around, he played that pass through. He was great. I think sometimes he plays some passes that sometimes people aren't on the same wavelength because they are very, very intelligent. But honestly, I was just thinking to myself while I was watching that game, I just think we need a clinical number 9 to come in and not replace Martial, but give him a challenge. I do think that he's only been 2 games. I mean, he came off, he went down the tunnel, potentially got an injury, maybe needs to work himself back into the team. But as we said at Man United, you need a striker that's going to be looking like he's going to score he's going to score every game, and I think Martial had that header which I thought he should have done better with. I've not seen it up close, so I don't know. And again, I just think we need a bit more presence. Certainly not a bad performance, just a little bit anonymous. And I just think if you add like a clinical striker into that team, and I'm not saying that means Martial has to go, we just need somebody else, because like you said, bringing Elanga on isn't going to work. And I think giving kind of a different dynamic again with like for example, Osimhen in that team, I think could just be unbelievable. I think we just need that type of figure in there. But as everyone who I sit with at Old Trafford, everyone will know, I love Martial. I think there's talent there, but I just want him to give a bit more. That's all.
It's the injuries that have hampered Martial. Because you go back to pre-season, and I'm sure Ricky was getting excited watching them performances. Yeah, you can say they're only friendlies, it's getting game time in the legs and all that. But Martial was scoring goals, and then to take that into the Premier League season, I think we were all thinking, right, is he going to make this number 9 shirt his own? We know, what was it, Ibrahimovic took it off him when he come to Manchester United. Yeah. Martial wasn't happy about that. Personally, I don't know what Ricky thinks. I think his best position is coming off the left-hand side. I always have thought that is the position for him at Manchester United. I could never understand why we've invested so heavily in an area like that, when you've got Martial in that team. Now, he might tell me different things. He might say, listen, I'm a number 9, I can be the number 9 at Manchester United. At the moment, with Ronaldo departing, he's kind of the only 9 at Manchester United that's capable of doing that. But little injuries have set him back. And this season, so many times I've looked and I've just thought, if he didn't get the injury at that time, he could have gone on a bit of a run of form. But again, another game this evening, and there'll be plenty more games to come. Yeah, for Martial,
100%. Ricky, do you? I mean, I know you're a big fan of Martial, right? Do you think that he can be? I mean, obviously, it's kind of. There's no doubt that we need to bring in another forward, whether it's someone to play ahead of Martial or as a backup. Do you think that you see Martial being that number 9 as a long-term kind of option? Should he obviously stay injury-free?
If he stays injury-free, I've got no problem with him playing at number 9. I agree with Kevin, though. He's even better on the left wing. We've got so many players that seem to be able to play on the left wing.
Yeah.
Defensively, he's fantastic when he plays on the left wing. He really makes it difficult for the fullback to get forward. It's really, he just gets fullbacks in. Too many people think that your winger's got to be beating players, scoring goals, getting crosses. He's brilliant defensively. I remember when we drew 0-0 at Anfield once, he never got out of his own half and he marked Trent Alexander out of the game. Everybody always think full-backs are marking wingers, and sometimes it's the other way round. I mean, he's a top player. He can do both things, attack, defend, you name it. A lot of people will be surprised at that because they think he doesn't run around a lot, but he doesn't run around a lot because he puts himself in intelligent positions. He's a really clever player. When it comes to a goal scorer, do we need a goal scorer? It'd be nice to have somebody who could score a lot of goals, but you've still got to create chances, and we're not creating enough chances generally. A few more tonight, obviously, but we're not creating enough chances. I know he could have done better with an header on Saturday. He perhaps, I've not seen it on the screen again yet tonight, he perhaps could have done better with a header today. Yeah. But I think that header that he wrote, and he got hurt, that header, by the way, I don't know if you remember where it came from. The ball that he played out to the wing was unbelievable. It came up to him in the middle of the field with his back to goal, where most people would think either A, you've got to take a chance, or somebody like Bruno might do a fancy flick that goes straight to them. And he whacked it right out to the right wing first time. It was unbelievable quality. Then he gets himself in the box and challenges for the header as the ball comes over. Heads it wide. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it's a good chance. I don't know if he could reach it proper. I want to watch it again. But that's what he's living off. That's what he's living off. I can understand us wanting a striker that can score some goals, but you've got to create chances for him. If there's no chances, they can't score goals.
I do think as well, I think it was an instruction from Erik ten Hag. Martial is dropping very deep, and I think that's to draw the defenders in, to give Rashford space to run in behind. I think that's the idea behind it. But I think maybe he'd be more of a target man if he was maybe playing off that first man a little bit more, but obviously he sees Rashford is a very lethal option to get him behind, so I don't think it helped him as much. I mean, he's very good on the ball, which is why he does drop deep, and he usually does very well. He usually does a good pass off, but I would like to see him goal hanging a little bit more, because I think maybe you'd see more opportunity then to maybe get a cross in, or maybe see a little through ball to him, like something like that. Like sometimes he was in very tight positions where there's no option in the box because he's out there, so that's what I'd like to see. But there's quality there, but like we said, so you're looking at players like, I don't know, just I have to wait and see. But you look at like the likes of Harry Kane. I mean, Haaland obviously is just an absolute robot. I mean, even Darwin Núñez, he's like getting in such good positions. He's not putting the ball in the back of the net. Maybe just someone. Again, that's a bit more of a target man. That's the only thing.
That comes back to Ricky's point, though, about creating chances, right? Liverpool are creating the chances for Núñez. It's just him, unfortunately, unfortunately for us, not putting him away.
In football, it's absolutely vital how your team is playing, and you've got all different cogs in your team doing different roles. Even when I watch Sky Sports and the top pundits, I see people talking about it and they don't understand the game. I remember watching a game when Chelsea were the year they won the Champions League. I can't remember who they were playing, but it was an away game and they were struggling, they were behind, and it was looking like they might go out of the tournament. And they had Tammy Abraham on the bench, and I think Rio Ferdinand was in the studio, and I can't remember who the other person was, and they were both saying they've got to get Tammy Abraham on because they need a goal scorer. And they were playing with Pulisic and they were playing with Havertz, and all these players are busy players. They're getting all around the pitch and they're playing some really good football. Now then, you bring a striker on, like Tammy Abraham, as they were talking about, and you're going to remove one of those players who's helping the team to play well, and therefore you won't create as many chances as you're creating once you've replaced one of those players. Now then, the manager never picked Tammy Abraham, he never picked him. And I'm saying on that day, I'm saying they don't know what they're talking about, these lads. Rio Ferdinand was one of them. They don't need Tammy Abraham on the pitch. These players are playing well enough, and they went on to win the European Cup without using Tammy Abraham. If you've got a striker who you think can score goals, it's not got to be the detriment of how the team plays football. Your footballers, you still got to play as well. We're scoring. Somebody said to me the other day, somebody sent me a clipping from the Daily Mail, Graham Souness, saying, I don't know how United are going to score goals this year. I don't know how they're going to score goals. I don't see goals in the team, he said. They've lost Ronaldo, we scored 18 goals. Well, Ronaldo played for us last season. We scored, I think it was 54 goals or something. The season before he signed, we scored 70-odd goals. And now that he's not playing, we're scoring more goals now than when he was playing. Yeah. It's not about one player being able to score goals. It's about the team playing well, creating chances and sharing. It doesn't matter who scores the goals. Yeah. It doesn't matter so long as the team scores goals.
Ricky, can I just say, first mistake, don't listen to Souness. He doesn't have a clue. He doesn't have
I genuinely think he's a good pundit. I generally do.
I think but that's a topic for another
another video
for another day. Graham Souness, because we can go into all
We'll do a 5-hour special on that one.
Yeah,
definitely.
Here all night.
Yeah, that's a 24-hour one, isn't it? Jermaine with the super chat. Donny's injury looks like an ACL or MCL. Thoughts? We have touched on that already. We wish him a speedy recovery. He was walking off, which is, the only.
It looks a good sign, doesn't it?
Yeah. Let's talk about Fred. And a positive. I thought he was quality when he came on, to be fair. I thought he was... a game like this is perfect for him. Busy and played really well. What do you think?
I honestly don't disagree with you. I thought he played well when he came on. He played well when he came on against Wolves. Very happy with the player coming on and making that type of impact. Did his job. Made some good passes. Also stuck to his role in the midfield. I thought he did well.
It's that old saying, stay in your lane, isn't it? And you've got somebody like Eric Ten Hag who has a system, a style of play, and if he can bring Fred into it, I don't think he's going to start every week. Of course, he's not in big games, but when you bring him off the bench, you just sit in there, lad, do your job. Yeah. Don't overthink things, don't get too excited. Don't give the ball away, and Fred is capable of doing that.
He's good to come on when players are tired as well because of his energy. Yeah. It works.
Do we think that he can? That should be his role now. That squad player that is brought on in the situation where someone needs a rest. Do you think? I'm not sure. Are you a fan of Fred, Ricky, or is it someone that?
I've never been a fan of Fred, but I've also never been a fan of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and I didn't chip in before when you were talking about Wan-Bissaka. I think Wan-Bissaka's played well these games that he's played. As soon as Dalot comes on, though, you can see that extra bit of class.
It's different.
Yeah.
There's no denying that. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, even myself, I'm watching Wan-Bissaka play and thinking, wow, he's really good. But then as soon as Dalot comes on, he looks like Franz Beckenbauer in comparison. Do you know what I mean? It's just like great, much better touch and short passes and that. He's just a top player. But I think Wan-Bissaka's played well. I think Rashford's looking a better player, and I think Fred's looking a better player. I think Fred has played well in both of the last couple of games that he's played, and I think a lot of this has got to be down to the new manager and his coaches. There's too many players playing better. I'll be honest, playing better than I thought they were capable of.
It's like
we never had this under Solskjaer. We didn't have players developing and getting better and better. It just didn't happen.
Even Luke Shaw, we know he's always had the talent. He's always been good, but he's playing exceptional. Like now, I had that spell under Ollie where he was good, but he's genuinely. I watch him. I think. I can't think of a better left back right now at all. Like he's playing so well, and I think there's always been that talent there. Ten Hag's really getting the best out of him. You can tell Ten Hag really rates him as well because of how important he is to the team. But like Ricky said, he's improved so many players. I wanted to ask you, were you impressed with Rashford's work rate today as well?
Yeah, works his socks
off.
Intensity,
his socks
up there, isn't it?
I thought he played really well the first 20 minutes or so. He got switched out to the right. they've got to work on this. He's got the pace to get past somebody and smash it across the face of the 6-yard box, and he just won't do it. The one cross that he put in, the one that curled just out of Ilanga's reach, if you remember it, he crossed it from the corner of the penalty area. But there was 2 or 3 times where he's got the ball within 10 yards of the dead ball line, rather than crossing it from the corner of the box. If you can get within 10 yards of the dead ball line and smash it across, when the box is crowded, I'm talking about, there was one incident that drove me mad, and he got a big round of applause for it. I thought it was awful, where he dribbled it and dribbled it and dribbled it in the box, and he ended up outside box. There was a couple of occasions during that dribbling, and the 6-yard box is packed. It can go in off a defender. Just smash it across. Like, I mean, I know it was a corner kick. Brentford's got an own goal for them last night, didn't they, by putting it into an area there, a near post. And this is from the corner. It's a lot easier to do it from inside the box. He's inside the box. Well, do you know what I mean? Just smash it across and hope for the best.
Garnacho did it. We didn't smash it, but he put a great pass in by getting to the byline and putting it in. He got a goal, so...
just been told that there's a quote from Erik ten Hag saying that it's just a knock for Martial, so everything should be fine. That's obviously the reason why he walked down the tunnel. But that's obviously.
I have to say, when he did go down, I was like,
sign.
Even though I criticised him a bit, when he did go down, I was worried.
Well, then we're proper scraping the bottom of the barrel, then, aren't we?
Big time.
I mean, Fred, just to touch on Fred, for me, I think he was brilliant. But obviously his contract renewal, I think, have we extended his 1 year, or I can't remember the exact situation, but it's crunch time soon in terms of what we do with him, whether we try and move him on for, I mean, we're not going to get anywhere close to 50 million what we paid for him, but or do we sign him on a 2-3 year contract but lesser his wages and make sure he knows that he will be utilised as a squad player? Is that the avenue that you'd go down, Beth?
I tell you what, the thing is, if he can be a squad player, he's got attributes to be kept, absolutely. I think we have triggered his 1 year extension, by the way. I think I remember doing a video on that. But if we get a midfielder in, which we do need to do in summer, we need a box-to-box midfielder. We need someone who can come into starting 11 and play next to Casemiro, in my opinion, or at least rotate with Eriksen and Bruno in that box-to-box that has a presence. If we do that, you can't keep Donny, McTominay and Fred. One of them has to move on. So you've got to pick which one out of them you're going to get the most value for, which one do we not need as much. I think McTominay will stay because he's got that height and he's got that physicality. And I know he's been out of the team for a bit, but he was doing all right under Ten Hag. I think it'll be between Fred and Donny. Got to think who gives more to the team.
It's a tough decision. I mean, they both offer different things, right? But super chat from Nweke says Bruno still loses the ball in dangerous places. Bruno didn't have the greatest of games, but we'll touch on Marcus Rashford. He can't stop scoring, which is a brilliant thing. You don't want him to stop scoring. I thought his performance was good in sort of a different way today. The work rate, as we kind of touched on. Kev, what did you make of Rashford playing today? Obviously, he didn't start the previous game because of the he overslept, didn't he? And missed the start of a meeting or something like that. So, it's good. I didn't think he was going to score today. I just thought it was going to be one of those days where, things didn't go his way. There was a few shots, but somehow he still finds a goal, which is when it's going your way, it's going your way.
He just seems to be getting better and better. And that intensity today, that's what you want to see. The closing down, running out each flank, closing down whoever it is, the left back, right back. It's great to see, and it's great to see that he's come back from the World Cup. He just looks a complete different player.
So
absolutely, confident. The confidence is like oozing out of him. And I think we did a preview before the World Cup. We were even before this season talking about Rashford, and we're saying this is a big season for him. How many years has he been at Manchester United? What player is he? Is he a number 9? Is he this? Is he that? He's made that position his own for me, where he's playing at the minute, and keep it up.
I mean, even when he did get pushed out to that right-hand side, he still looked pretty instrumental out there as well, right? Still getting on the ball and trying to push us up the pitch. Beth,
it's crazy to think that this is the same player that in a past season we have absolutely slandered for not even chasing a ball into the area. A follow up from a shot at goal. He did not look interested at all, and I do not mind saying that I slagged Marcus Rashford off for that. I said, you're a professional footballer, have pride in yourself at that stage. I said that on the United stand. I stuck by it at that time. I'm not saying for 1 minute he's listened to me and gone, sound Kev, I'm going to up my game, you know, sorry about that. But so again, like Ricky says, we talk about Ten Hag, coaching system, everything is coming to place, falling into place this season. You are seeing players develop in front of your eyes.
I think you can tell the relationship that him and Ten Hag do have, because when you have that bond, you're going to want to run that extra 10 yards, sprint that extra one time.
And look at how he could have reacted to that, Rashford. It tells you a lot about his character, right? The weekend, yeah, he's slept in, he's whatever, he's a minute late. And Ten Hag made an example of him. We spoke about this in the last fan forum, but the fact that he comes on, scores the goal, and the picture is, you know, that makes all the back of the newspapers is him walking off with his arm round Rashford. Yeah. It's great man management. It's great to see, whereas Rashford could have spat his dummy out. You know, we've had past players that have refused to come on and play for this club, do you know what I mean? And Rashford has he's bit the bullet, and he scores the winner, and it's forgotten about. You know, don't be late for training again. Make sure you set 2 alarm clocks, your iPhone, iWatch, whatever. Don't be late again, and he won't be.
It's like, even in the interview, like, he came out and just owned up to it, and like seemed really confident, seemed really happy because he's got his goal. It was like swept under the carpet. Like Kev said, it was great man management. But like when you said it, I remember that ball when it was like he's kind of rolling and he just walked off
away. Yeah, and
if that was him now, it'd be there like a shot. He couldn't believe his luck. Genuinely, he's so, like, he was chasing everything. Like certain balls that were going loose in the midfield, and because of his speed, he was getting there and managed to nick it off him. He wouldn't have even walked or ran to that last season. Like, I think Ten Hag is serious. He's done a number on Rashford already, but obviously credit to the player as well for stepping up. Like, it's not, you can't just give all the credit to Ten Hag, but I think Rashford under Ten Hag could be a seriously special player. I mean, if he's made this much improvement in just this amount of time, and like we said, Ten Hag's managed to coach a lot of the players to look better than what they are. I think we've got a brilliant coach and a manager, but I think we've got a really good talent in Rashford here that is really hungry to score goals, super confident. I mean, did anyone see when he went mental at Maguire for not giving him that pass over the top? He wants to be scoring goals. He knows he can score goals. I think Ten Hag is going to rely on him, but I think he can be really top. I
think a lot of this does come down to confidence. How much better he does play in kind of every aspect in terms of pressing, scoring, everything just comes down to how confident he is. And I mean, even though he didn't get probably as much game time as what we would have liked at the World Cup, I think from what he's shown, you know, he still takes confidence from that and has brought it back with him as well, knowing, you know, a Marcus Rashford that last season wouldn't have stepped up at that free kick in, you know, against France, and he thought he scored. You know, he was very confident in trying to score that. So it shows how different and how much better he has improved. And Jermaine's put a super chat here saying Rashford seems to be playing like a star now. It's crazy. And you know, there was that Casemiro quote that came out a couple of days ago saying he's backed him and said, you know, I'm actually surprised at how good he actually is. I didn't think he was going to be that good, and said he can be one of the top 5 players in the world or something if he wants to be. So, I mean, and that's Casemiro saying it. So
Ricky's pulling his face.
I'll be over the moon if he's one of the. I'll be over the moon if he ever becomes one of the best 5 players in Manchester. When you've got Kevin De Bruyne, you've got Haaland, you've got what's he called, Bernardo Silva, Mahrez, Foden. I'll be over the moon if he's one of the best 5 players in Manchester.
I tell you one thing, Ricky. You know how they say.
Am I right or wrong, Kev?
You've got a point. You've got a fair point.
Do you know when I think as well? It's a captain putting confidence in his player. Like, I think Casemiro is a captain type figure, but I will say, Ricky, you know, he's always right. You've seen the clips about Maguire, you've seen the clips about Wan-Bissaka, you've seen the clips. Ricky's always right. I think Rashford might be the one player that might prove you wrong under Ten Hag.
I'd love him to.
Let's wait and see.
At least you're not praying on his demise.
I'd love it if he proved me wrong.
Yeah, it's more, you know, you'd be more than happy for him to obviously prove you wrong. But yeah, so Varane, we obviously spoke, got his rest. Dalot got his rest as well, but did obviously make a cameo. Martinez coming on as well. Is that a sign of things to come now in the sense of moving forward? Do you expect in the Everton game, which is Friday, right? I think, do you think that Dalot and Martinez will start and it will be back to full strength, Kev?
I think it will pretty much full strength. I mean, I was surprised he made 4 changes this evening. I said, I think he's played an absolute blinder. There's players coming to that team that have got game time who probably needed it. Again, like I say, at the risk of repeating myself, the likes of Varane and that have sat on the bench, cotton wool wrapped round them. And what we have to look at as well, it's different with this World Cup falling at this time, because Martinez, I think, would be in this team at this stage, wouldn't he? But he's been away partying, fair play to him, he's won the World Cup, but he is back now and raring and ready to go. And it's such a huge sort of time for Manchester United now. We're talking FA Cups, Carabao Cups, you know, we've got a Europa League clash coming up against Barcelona. We're also in the hunt for the top 4. And as I said to you earlier, could results have gone any better for Manchester United over these, you know, last couple of fixtures, wasn't it? Really, you look at the likes of Chelsea have dropped out, Liverpool, that's great. Arsenal have dropped points, even Man City are dropping. Everyone around us,
Newcastle have drawn twice.
The one thing I will say is I still see Liverpool hanging around.
Oh, they'll be there then.
Thereabouts. Yeah. I mean, it's great, obviously, Martinez getting the kind of applause before the game starts, and obviously when he comes on. But his first proper involvement is beating Kiefer Moore, the absolute giant, in the air twice, doesn't he? So it shows what he's about. He's straight back to it, and then obviously does that big switch over to Rashford as well.
You know what I know Ten Hag did say actually in his pre-match interview when they asked him about rotation and for the cup and stuff. I think I saw the quote right. He was saying he wants silverware this season. Like I think he's going to go for it in them cups, you know. I think we'll see a full strength 11 on Friday. I think even against Charlton, maybe he'll make some changes like today. But I don't think he'll.
I think that's the major point of him resting these players this evening. Yeah.
I don't think he'll just put all the kids in for that game. I genuinely think he's seriously going to be going for these cup competitions. And I mean, he had confidence to rest a few players in the league.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Quickly, we're coming towards the end of the show, but I want to get everyone's man of the match. So, Beth, we'll start with you as to who you thought was the man of the match, and we'll give we've got a little bit of time, so you can give
an honourable mention.
Yeah, a little reason in there. You know, you can go in depth if you'd like to.
There's a couple of contenders. Again, I'm looking at Casemiro, I'm looking at Luke Shaw, and I'm looking at Rashford. 3 players that are just doing ultra well at the minute. I mean, Casemiro, I don't think we'd be in the top 4 without him. I think he's that instrumental. I mean, that goal just to start things off, by the way, it was a brilliant ball from Eriksen, but it's a class finish.
Yeah.
Thought Luke Shaw, unbelievable. Build up to the goal. The goal was obviously just a tap-in, but how good he's on the ball. And then, obviously, Rashford, I thought his work rate was great, managed to get his goal. But I think in total, just that little bit extra for me. Not a perfect performance, like Ricky said, but I think I'm going to go with Luke Shaw. Unbelievable player at the moment.
Kev?
Shawberto Carlos mode has been reactivated. that was some performance. The goal obviously chips in with a goal. The pass for Fernandes for the Rashford goal?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, absolute quality. And when you've got a player like that, questions have been asked of him so many times. We signed a player in Tellez to try and raise his game, give him competition. Where's Tellez now? You know, Malacia's come in, and fair play to him, he played really well up until that kind of derby game, wasn't it, at Man City, where he looked a bit out of his depth. Luke Shaw had to come in, but since he's come back in, Malacia's got a massive task on his hands to try and
healthy
get back in.
Though, right?
The only way
healthy competition, and that's what we want.
The only way Malacia gets back in, for me,
Luke Shaw goes centre-back.
If Luke Shaw's at centre-back, he's got to praise some of the centre-backs have a bit of a downfall, because I think Luke Shaw is just... He's a brilliant footballer.
Just quickly, do we play City? Is it after Charlton? Is that?
Yeah. Do we have time to speak about that?
Well, we might do, but I was just saying you might see that obviously Malacia brought in for that fixture as well, which gives Shaw a little rest. But Ricky, who would you give man of the match to and why?
I would go with Luke Shaw.
3 out of 3.
I would go with Luke Shaw, but I want to give a shout out to Victor Lindelof. I thought he had a steady game, really steady.
Yeah, he was good in the air, I thought, today, actually, to be fair.
Considering he's not played for a while. And
I
like the clean sheets, mate. We've spoken often enough, and I've tried to explain on many of the Sunday night shows that we've had in the past, where I've said, don't worry about who's going to score a goal. Everybody always wants to talk about, we need Rashford, we need this player, we need who's going to get behind, who's going to score a goal. Get some clean sheets under your belt, and then worry about who's going to score goals later. And that's what we're doing, and that's how he's gone about it. We've nicked quite a few games 1-0, quite a few games, and that's the defenders. It's the defenders who used the phrase difference maker. Yeah, the commentator at weekend when Rashford scored this isn't a little dig at Rashford either, by the way, it really isn't, it's how I feel about football. They call the person who scores the goal the difference maker, but if your defenders don't keep a clean sheet, that doesn't matter, that goal.
Yeah.
You know, they're the difference makers just as much as he's the difference maker.
Yeah. Well, a clean sheet to a defender is as good as scoring a goal, right? So, clean sheets win you titles.
There's a left-sided centre-back as well, by the way. He did well on that left side, Maguire on the right side. I still think, obviously, on a Bournemouth, if they had a bit more quality, might have not been a clean sheet. And I do think Varane and Martinez are there, but they did a decent job.
It's having that spine to your team, isn't it? We seem to have one now, a bit of a backbone.
Yeah.
I always said on past United Stand shows, we were like a donut, where round the sides, whatever, we were all right, but in the middle, you know, gaping hole, not much going on. Casemiro, Eriksen brings so much to Manchester United. Varane and Martinez are just a total upgrade on what we've seen sort of post Sir Alex Ferguson, and it really is positive at the minute. So many players are taking to it and improving game by game.
Yeah, we'll end on this super chat from MUFC 123. Channel never gives Maguire praise. He was superb.
There was a few dodgy bits with Maguire today.
He was all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think
he wasn't superb by any stretch.
No, I actually think that he makes Lindelof look worse than Lindelof actually is. I thought he was just kind of average. He does some things which you think, oh, brilliant, and then he turns around and wants to go backwards again.
The one where he put it out straight for them for a corner, I was absolutely baffled by that. There seemed to be nobody on him, and I don't know whether he got the shout off someone man on and just thought. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm grateful for the way Varane kind of brings the ball off the back and kind of it's a lot slower coming out when it's them there, and it's a lot more laboured, and there's 2 or 3 passes to get to what should have been just the first touch pass in the first place.
And that's the harsh thing now, because you're going to measure Varane.
That's how that tight it is, but
Varane and Maguire, you can't measure him because you can't compare the two.
Yeah.
Do you think
there's no comparison?
Do you think, just quickly, that because there is such a big drop off in terms of when you go from Varane and Martinez to Lindelof and Maguire, that they get looked upon a little bit too heavily, because it's almost chalk and cheese when you compare what they offer? Do you think that's why Maguire does get a little bit more slack than maybe
it opens it up a bit more? I think Casemiro's got a lot more work to do in the holding defensive midfield. We've had this with Fred and McTominay when we played them as a two.
We're looking after the ball better. You were talking about Eriksen at length before, and Beth was talking about maybe getting somebody with more legs, you know, more of an attacking player. But as
someone that can defend. Defend as on the
the way
physically.
what Eriksen does though, he nicks balls. He's not really like, it's not the physical side of the game that he's great at, but he's good at positional sense and nicking the odd ball,
smart
and
play,
reading the game, but then also popping the ball off quickly, seeing the pass and keeping us in possession. And some of the passing previously, when we regularly had McTominay and Fred playing, it wasn't as good as that. So we're keeping more clean sheets and conceding less goals because we're looking after the ball better, just as much as we are conceding less goals because we're defending better, if you follow me meaning.
Yeah.
You know, we're not having to defend quite so much and quite so often and quite so panicky, because we've got quality players just in front who look after the ball better. Casemiro and Eriksen have made a massive difference to this team, and if you was to replace Eriksen with a box-to-box player, whoever that box-to-box player might be, a little bit like I just spoke about a goal scorer coming into the team, but then the team might not play as well. If you bring a box-to-box player in, but he's not always just in the back four, in front of the back four like Eriksen is, looking after it and pulling strings, you might not play as well.
I do. Obviously, Eriksen's a huge upgrade on McTominay and Fred. I like Eriksen. It's not that I want to replace him. I just want to have options for different types of games. And I do think, again, some of it has to come down to Ten Hag's coaching, because I think Eriksen, like you said, he's an intelligent player. He's in the right positions at the right time. But someone maybe just that can be that physical presence in an away game, I think would work well.
I mean, long may it continue the wins. I mean,
it's great.
I
Isn't
will
it?
get them.
I don't care.
You've got City and Arsenal coming up. Don't hold your breath.
Yeah. Well, TJ with the super chat. Maguire is correctly criticised bog standard today. Barima says Maguire wasn't superb. The bar for Maguire is so low that he gets praised when he does basic defending. He misplaced passes, a pass to the corner out for a corner in the first half. Yeah, I mean. We've covered pretty much.
And it's not an agenda. I love this, it's this Harry Maguire agenda and that. It's not. We're being asked here, to give our opinion on football. You go to a match, you watch it, and you say what you see. And that's all you can do. It is not picking on Harry Maguire. I'd love to see Harry Maguire putting in, nines every game or whatever, and being the centre back that we thought we'd spend 80 million on, and being this colossus kind of leader at the back. But at the minute, for me, Varane and Martinez are in before him, and Luke Shaw
And Lindelof.
Yeah, he's almost somehow got lower and lower in the pecking order, isn't he?
When I'm in the stands, don't get me wrong, I'm sat there when there's a corner, I'm like, come on, Harry. When he did a couple good things today, and I was like, well done. Like, you want him to do well.
Yeah.
Like, no one sat here thinking, can't wait to slate Maguire late. You've just got to judge what you see, that's all. And no one slated him, just comparing him to other players in our team. And at the end of the day, we have a World Cup winning centre-back partnership that is better.
Yeah. I wonder, do any other teams have World Cup winning
Centre-back partnerships?
Wonder if that's. I mean, I'm sure there would have been over the years, but that's going to wrap up the show, guys. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Thank you to the
beautiful guests.
It's changed. It's changed. It's wonderful now. It's wonderful. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Please do leave a like on your way out. Subscribe to the United Stand if you aren't already, and we'll see you in the next one.